Hello, and welcome to a new Wassenger tutorial. Today, we'll show you how to create an agent that automatically assigns WhatsApp conversations to different departments in your team, all powered by artificial intelligence. Let's get started. Remember that you can find this flow and many other ready-to-use ones on our website, wassenger.com. The first thing you need to do is create your new account. It won't take more than 2 minutes, and it's completely free. Complete the registration process by selecting your free plan, naming your number, and optionally inviting your team to collaborate. Once you're done, go to Flows in the left sidebar. Then, click Create New Workflow. But first, go to Wassenger Dashboard and create your departments if you haven't done it yet. In this example, we're using 3 departments: billing, tech support, and sales. But here's the thing. You can totally customize this to match your business needs. Departments will sync automatically to flows when configuring the nodes. The structure we're using is pretty standard: billing department, tech support department, and sales department. But again, if you have returns or pre-sales or whatever, you can add or remove nodes as needed. It's super flexible. All right, let's start building. First, let's rename the workflow so we can easily tell it apart if we have other workflows created. Now, we need to set up the trigger. This is basically how the workflow knows when a new message comes in. So you're going to add a Wassenger trigger node. The type is, it's a Wassenger trigger. Pretty straightforward. And the purpose here is to detect when a new message arrives from a customer. Now, quick note, Wassenger Flows automatically registers your API keys, which is nice. But if you run into any errors, you might need to manually grab your API key from the Wassenger API keys page. We'll let the link in the description. Select your WhatsApp number connected to Wassenger. Leave events like it is. Finally, on sample event to notify, select on text message received. Next, we need to check if the chat is already assigned to someone. Because if a human agent is already handling it, we don't want the AI jumping in and confusing everyone. So we're going to add an if node. We'll call it isNumberAssigned. The purpose here is to verify whether the chat already has an assigned department. Now, let me explain the logic here. The condition is checking if chat.owner.department exists. So basically, if there's already a department assigned, the chat goes to a no operation node, which just means do nothing. Let the human handle it. But if there's no department assigned, then it goes to our AI agent. Here's a pro tip though. This is a pretty simple scenario. You could also configure it to check whether the last message was sent a long time ago. Now change the condition to string and select the option exists. After adding this if node, you'll also add that no operation do nothing node for the cases where a department is already assigned. And then, of course, the path for our AI agent. Once inside, select Source for Prompt, define below. Then, in the prompt field, add the expression that will return the message the customer sent us. In this case, JSON data body. After this, we'll add a system message, which is basically the set of instructions that our agent must follow. You can copy the ones we used. You'll find them in the link provided in the description. You can also modify the instructions and adjust them to your own use case. Now connect the brain of your AI agent, which can be any model from the list you see. In our case, we're going to use the OpenAI chat model, which we already have configured. If you don't have your chat model credentials set up, you can get yours from the link we've left in the description of this video. You'll just need a valid API key. Right, so for the memory configuration, this is what lets the AI remember previous messages in the conversation. Window length, set this to 20. Session ID type is set to define below. For the session key, you can use the following expression: Wassenger trigger item JSON device ID. This ensures the AI remembers conversations with specific customers. Now, we need to parse the AI's response because the AI is giving us JSON, but we need to convert it into a structure we can actually use in the workflow. So add a code node, which runs JavaScript. The purpose here is to convert the AI's JSON response into a usable structure. Don't worry about the code. you can copy the same one we used from the link we've left in the description of this video. You can also ask the AI, and it will generate a customized code for your specific use case. Now, notice that for the code script to work correctly, we've told the code node that the AI agent is called Triage AI Agent. So we need to rename our agent to match that name and avoid any issues when running the code. Let's go back to the main view and select the rename option to change the name. Now, let's check that the workflow works correctly up to the point we've built so far. To do this, go to the Wassenger trigger and click on Test Step. You'll see that the trigger returns some data. In this case, it's test data that Flows provides so you can run tests before activating your workflows and avoid any unexpected issues. In this particular workflow, we're going to edit the information provided by the trigger so that all the nodes execute properly. First, we'll modify the data so that the chat appears as unassigned. That way, the workflow will take action using the AI agent. Change the value of department to null. Then, edit the incoming message detected by the trigger, as if a real customer had sent a question. Now we can run the test again with the customized data. As you can see, the if node detects that the incoming chat is not assigned, and it proceeds to send the message to the AI agent, which will analyze the question according to the instructions we provided. After that, the AI agent will return a JSON, which we'll format using the code node to extract the relevant and easy-to-use information. Now, we need to actually respond to the customer. Because we've analyzed their message, we've decided what to do, but we haven't told them anything yet. So add a Wassenger node called Send Message. The purpose here is to immediately respond to the customer on WhatsApp with the bot's response. Configuration is pretty simple. Device, select your Wassenger device from the drop-down. Phone, use the following expression. This is pulling the customer's phone number from the trigger. Message, use this one, which is a friendly response that the AI generated. So what happens is, the customer sends a message, the AI analyzes it and generates a helpful response, and then this node instantly sends that response back to the customer on WhatsApp. Remember, you can find all the expressions, code, and AI agent instructions in the description of this video. All right. This is where we route the conversation to the correct department if needed. Add a switch node and call it Validate If Department, which lets us do multiple conditional branches. The purpose is to route to the correct branch based on which department the AI selected. Add one route for each department you have in your company and have added in Wassenger. Then, add one final route which will handle the cases where the conversation is not assigned to any department. That means the AI agent has determined it can resolve the question on its own and doesn't require human action. In that case, the flow will end, and the agent will simply wait for the customer's next message. Now, to configure each of the routes that will define a different department, we need to add the following expression. This expression will be the same in all cases. What will change is the result. Now, inside the value, we'll add each of the names of our departments. For the case where the conversation is not assigned to any department, we'll add the same expression as in the previous cases, but the result must be different. You need to select Array and then is empty. Next, we test the flow and see that the result shows the agent has determined there's no need to assign the conversation to any department. So if we want the flow to be routed to a department, we can modify the data just like we did earlier in the trigger. Go to the code node and inside it, edit the data obtained to add one of the departments you want to test. So search for department and add sales, for example. Then change the field reason for the transfer. Optionally, you can also change the field requires transfer. Now we can run the flow again to check that it works as we want. Great! Now we can see that the switch node shows the flow continues through the sales department. If we open the switch node again, we can confirm that the department field has indeed passed the information correctly. This will change dynamically depending on what the AI agent decides in each situation. Now we're going to create the Wassenger node that will assign the conversation to each department, depending on what the customer requires. We'll start with billing, but the process is the same for tech and sales. The type is assign chat operation. The purpose is to automatically transfer the chat to the correct department in Wassenger. Select your connected number in Wassenger, just like in the other nodes, and then add the ID of the chat you want to assign. This data is dynamic, so you only need to add the expression json.whatsappid. Then change the assignment type to department and select the correct department in the department ID field. Great! Now we just need to copy and paste the same node as many times as the number of departments you have in your Wassenger account. Oh, and don't forget to add the no operation option in case the AI agent decides not to assign the chat to any department. Now, let's rename the nodes so we can easily recognize them and make it simpler to continue with the setup. Now, we're going to retrieve the department information, specifically the email addresses of the agents in that department. This will allow us to send a notification email to every agent in that department, keeping them informed that a new chat has been assigned to their team. Add a new Wassenger node called Get Departments. What this returns is basically an array containing all your departments, along with their corresponding information. Inside the node, add the Wassenger number ID, which you can get using the following expression. Now, repeat the operation for each of the departments. This step is identical in all cases, since later we'll filter only the emails of the departments we want using a code node, but we'll get to that later. Now we're going to rename the nodes in just a moment. Great! Now let's check that the flow is working correctly. As you can see, the nodes have executed successfully, and if we open Get Departments, we can see that it has returned all the departments along with their members. This is where we'll use the code node to filter only the agents we want for each department. Let's do it! From the Get Departments node, add a new code node, just like the one we used earlier. The configuration is the same, except the code used will vary depending on each department. But don't worry, just like the rest of the flow, you have all the code and examples in the description of this video, so you won't miss anything. As you can see, the code is customized to filter for each department, in this case, sales. If in your case you're using different names or have more departments, you'll need to adjust the code according to your specific use case. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and we'll help you out. You can also ask the AI of Wassenger, which will provide you with the ready-to-use code in just a few seconds. You'll find the link in the description of this video too. Now copy the code nodes for each of the departments and modify the code so it fits each one of them. Now let's check that the node filters only the agents from each of the departments. Great, it works perfectly. As you can see, the node has returned only the agents we need, and later we'll send them an informational email with the support ticket so they can resolve the issue our customer is having. Now we're moving on to the most important part of our workflow. We're going to create a second AI agent that will help us write the email we'll later send to our agents. To do this, we're going to set the source for prompt to define below. Then we'll add the following information in the prompt, which is the data the agent receives about everything that has happened so far in our workflow. As you can see, there are a couple of expressions highlighted in red. This is because the agent couldn't retrieve the data correctly, either because we're using mock data for testing or, most likely, because it couldn't find the node. Let's check it. Exactly. The node our agent is looking for has a different name. We just need to rename it to match what the agent expects, and that will fix the issue. This is a great example to remind you how important it is to keep everything well organized so there are no problems when running the flow. Now we run the workflow again so the data gets updated, and we check that everything is okay. Great! Now the agent has successfully retrieved all the data. Next, we'll add the chat model with OpenAI and the memory node. Now, we're going to add the instructions that our agent must follow to compose the email we'll send to our agents. As always, you can find the instructions in the description of this video, and you can modify them to fit your specific use case. The agent will return a JSON, which will then format into HTML to embed it in Gmail using a code node. Now, add the last code node that we'll use in this workflow, probably the most important one. As I mentioned, it will compose the structure of the email we'll send to our agents. You can also modify this code based on your needs and goals. And remember, you can leave any questions you have in the comments. Now let's test that everything is working correctly. As you can see, the code node has returned a series of data, and the most important one is the HTML email body. It contains the entire email in HTML format, which will be embedded in our Gmail node that we're going to configure next. Great. Now, to finish, look for the Gmail node and select Send a Message. The node will open, and you'll need to add your Google credentials. If you don't have them set up yet or don't know how to do it, don't worry. We've left a card right up here with a short and easy video that shows you how to connect it in just a few minutes. Once you have your credentials set up, you need to add the recipient of the email. To do that, we'll retrieve the already formatted email addresses we prepared in our code node after getting the departments. Now we add the subject of the email, which has also been generated by our AI agent. Finally, we make sure the email type is set to HTML, and then we add the message body with the composed email that the code node has formatted. Here we can see how our test email looks. This is just an example, as you can adjust it however you prefer, and add or remove any data you want. It's fully customizable. In addition, we've included a button in the email that takes you directly to the customer conversation that's been assigned, making everything much faster. All right, so congratulations, you just built a completely automated chat assignment agent. If you made it this far, seriously, thank you for watching. This was a long one, but we built something really powerful here. If you found this tutorial helpful, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more automation tutorials, and drop a comment if you have any questions. See you in the next one.